Greg and I recorded this right before the end of the year, 2024. We wanted to just kind of go over some lessons we'd learned and things we picked up. We did this for another podcast, but I captured the video and I want to put it here on Warrior Mindset. I think it's a pretty good talk. Greg's my business partner. We go through a lot of stuff together. So here we go.
Welcome to the Warrior Mindset Podcast. We're your guide as you make your way through life, getting better 1% every day. We believe that life is lived and true victory won through adversity. Nothing easy is ever worth it. We believe in the warrior ethos and support those that choose to walk that path.
All right, man, what's happening?
How you doing, brother?
Good, dude. You have this concept of a show you wanted to get going. Lessons learned from the year.
What we learned.
Is it just business or is it business and life? And
It's all of it.
okay, cool.
It's all of it. Yeah.
It's kind of all kind of together.
I mean, I think it's all of it, and I think it should be all of it. And I think if that's part of, actually, I think that's maybe one of the things I learned this year is that there is no way to separate these things out.
God help us. I wish there was.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I'd love to not bring all my work stress home or my, the founder journey challenges home, but it's just not
It's not possible.
possible.
It is not possible. And that's frustrating.
Yeah, but also, I mean, I don't know. We signed up for it, right? And you folks out there that are
Yeah, kind
doing
of.
businessy things, you signed up for this. Just remember that. You chose this life.
I saw a t-shirt. I haven't bought it yet, but I really want to. It says, "Remember, you did this to yourself."
I mean,
like every therapy session ever is like, "Remember, you did this to yourself."
but isn't that kind of like a really important thing to acknowledge?
I think so. I think, yeah, well, you definitely have to take ownership of your problems.
But
I mean, you do.
but at the same time, I think that's like what's the lesson? So we're gonna jump right in. What's up, everybody?
Blame everyone else, and it's never your fault.
We are thrilled to have you guys with us. We are doing an end of the year episode. It's been a wild ride this year, but we wanted to just talk about what we learned this year as individuals, as business owners, as partners, and everything in between. So on the note of taking responsibility for your choices, there's also the other side of that coin, which is
do not confront me right now.
Dude, bro, you're looking a little svelte. I don't know if I want to do that. He's in a threatening posture.
Yes,
Communal land. It's not good.
nonviolent posture.
Nonviolent posture. But seriously, on the other side of that comment you made, right? Like acknowledging that you chose this.
Yeah.
You need to own that. You need to do something about that.
Yeah.
You have to own that. But you also have to like figure out how to like not worry about the stuff that isn't in your control.
Yeah.
Right. And I think that's where a lot of us, me included, we wallow and stress out about things that legit we have no ability to control whatsoever. So what people say, what people think, what's happening like on a macro global scale, we have very little control over those things.
Do you personally spend a lot of time sort of spooling over those things?
No. I spool over mostly in the category of things I can't control. I spool over how others respond to me, and in particular, relational responses.
Okay.
And
How they misunderstand what you're trying to convey,
or just like someone, if you care about someone, you have a relationship with someone, and whether you're in conflict or not, there are elements of that will impact you and affect you.
Yeah.
You have no control over.
No. You think you do because you're close. You might be closer to that person. Like you spent more time with that person. So you're like, you should know me a lot better. But
right. And
really kind of not.
And that's true. But at the same time, and we care, right? So that stuff bothers me, but I can't do much about it. Some of those things I can't do anything about. And so it is a fool's errand to spend time and energy and emotional bandwidth
for sure, man,
on those things. Yeah. I remember the same thing applies. I remember, we love what we do most days. especially when we get to work with awesome clients. And
Yeah.
that's one of my lessons learned. But, you know, every time I get all wound up over some creative strategy that some client barfs all over, you know, you kind of reset and level me back to this idea of like, dude, it's just production work.
Yeah.
It's business.
Yeah.
It's not personal. It's business.
Yeah. I've struggled with that for years. I think it is because I was, if you want to use the term, classically trained in college as a fine artist. So my degree is in fine art, and that's all like, this is me on the thing, and why are you judging me? You know what I mean? But then I kind of transitioned to commercial art, and having worked early under some really shitty art directors, like, I mean, bad people and like bad community, like bad at their job. It's not personal. It's commercial art. It's like someone else's vision. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I do constant, like we're talking about what we do. We produce, you know, web software, and we produce things for other people. It is their vision. You know what I mean? So I'm able to let go, but it is still personal at the same time, because I still want to do it the way I want to do it. Does that make sense?
And also, like, when you invest something that is intrinsically valuable, like,
Like
we're giving
months,
we're investing our expertise, right? My crazy creative brain on a new campaign. Like, I'm proud of that. That's part of who I am.
Yeah.
And it still stings a little bit when someone's like,
they don't like it.
Yeah.
You're like, what's wrong with you?
Thanks, but we don't like it.
Yeah.
So I think those are the kinds of things where I'm like, I got to do cool work that leverage the things that I'm passionate about and my skill sets. And you're not going to hit a freaking home run every time. So, you know, if you get that kind of feedback, let it roll off your shoulders, right? And move forward.
Yeah.
I know we talked about it before, but, you know, anger as one emotion can be another thing that can be really difficult to deal with.
For sure.
And this book called Anger by this, I think he's a Thai monk. Anyway, I love the book. You guys can look it up. It's literally called Anger, Cooling the Flames.
Oh, cool.
And one of the things he says in that book is anger is not something to avoid. It is something to make your friend. And your friend will show up regularly.
Wow.
And you're sitting on your front porch and your friend walks by.
Yeah.
You should wave to that friend, acknowledge his or her existence.
Right.
And then allow them to continue walking by.
That's pretty cool.
And I think about that a lot when I feel that sensation welling up in me.
Yeah.
I think I have learned this year and gotten better at acknowledging those moments and allowing, you know, and waving to them and letting them go by. So that's part of my personal journey, but it applies again to my relationship with my wife, to my kid, and also to our customers and clients and
the world
collaborators.
At large.
The whole world. So communal land. We're gonna just talk about lessons learned, and hopefully you guys can drop us a note and share some of yours that you've learned from this past year. And again, there's really no limits to this, because like we said at the beginning, it's business, it's personal, it's love, it's relationships, it's money, it's all interwoven. It's our life. 100%. So Gene, what's one thing you learned this year?
I took some notes. Just because you want something to work out doesn't mean that it always will. So I was thinking about some things, and the more I want something to work, the more I'm willing to overlook those little red flags that tell me that this shit isn't going to work. Right. Thinking about like working with people, like let's say you're working with someone, or you're about to work with someone new, and it's like, I really like this person. I think it's going to be awesome. I think it's going to be a great fit. And you really want it, but there's like little red flags that keep happening that normally you'd be like, I don't know about that. And then I don't know about that one. But you keep overlooking those things
because you
really want it to work out. Yeah. You got to listen to those little red flags. Just because you want it to work out doesn't mean it always should, I should say. Not always will.
Is there like a follow-on lesson, which is learn when to cut your losses?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I wonder about that too because
Yeah.
it's being an optimistic person, and I see the best in people.
Yeah,
and-
I've always we can talk about specifically about contractors or whatever, like people, maybe they're employees, whatever it is, but like you should probably move fast. I should probably move faster than I move in terms of moving on. And that sounds like when I write that out on paper, I'm like, that seems like a recipe for being a douche. Because we've all worked with those people that are just like, nope, you got one shot or you got like 10 minutes to impress me or whatever, and then you're out, like we've all worked with people like that. But I got a feeling that with the exception of the jerks in the world, I got a feeling for the most part, they got that way on for a reason.
Huh.
And I will tell you, it made me go all the way back to like, it's like, so I got fired from my first ever freelance gig. I got fired. It was 2 assignments, and the guy gave me until it was like a Wednesday, and he gave me until the next Thursday to get them done. And I got one done, but I didn't get the other one done. And I met with the guy, and the guy was like, that one looks good. Where's the other one? And I was like, I had this question or this question. And the guy was like, yeah, okay, don't worry about it. And then he just like never called me again. And I remember like a couple weeks, like, you got more work, whatever. And the guy was like, we're good. I'm like, oh, I think I just got fired. Like, I don't.
You're right. Yeah, you guys remember that comment he made about the little red flags?
Well, it was like, I mean, there's other lessons unpacked there, but I think the big one was thinking about that art director, and just he was like, I can't rely on this person. Like,
Yeah.
I'm not going to give him, like, why am I giving him another shot when there's like 50 other, 22-year-old freelancers that want to do some work? You know what I mean?
You know that
He had his shot. He didn't make it. I mean, it's like, think about the NFL. You go try out in the combine or whatever, and you don't run the number that they want you to run. They don't go, okay, well, come back tomorrow and try again. They're just like, next.
I think about this idea a lot too, about when it relates to time, and it's actually one of the things I learned.
Yeah.
Or I am continuing to learn. But it's one of the things in particular I felt the sting of this year, and that was how much fucking time I waste on things that do not bring me joy.
Oh, okay.
And or do not move the needle. And I've been thinking a little bit more as I'm getting older, and I had some like health stuff happen this year. I mean, most of it was like had good stories attached to it, like shredding on a mountain bike or falling through an attic. But it like messed me up, and it started messing with my mind. I haven't been able to be as active as I've wanted. And then you start thinking about the things that you don't get to do, and then you think about the things where you are spending your time, and it's just like it's been beaten over people's heads, but this idea that it is our most valuable resource, and it is finite. It is finite for every single human on the planet. So you think about how some of a sort of a multi-billionaire invest their time versus what we do on the ground. And I think I'm learning that even for little old me, I have to connect it back to your lesson learned. And this art director, for example, I have to get much more draconian about who gets my time and then what gets my time.
Yeah.
And I have to evolve my commitment to myself that every hour I'm spending on work needs to be impactful, and not in like a, well, that sounds really stressful, Greg, but I mean in like a,
no, just
to be very intentional, because every hour that I am working is 1 hour that I don't get to spend with my son or talking to my mom, who, won't be here forever, or reinvesting in my relationship with Catherine, whatever it is.
Or hell, just the difference between working on something for you versus working on something for someone else that's not going to care. They're going to maybe try to rip you off. They're not paying you market rate. Like, whatever it is, like, why am I doing this other thing for this other person?
Well, so for me,
that sounds so douchey, but like
it doesn't. It's not.
It's important.
It's not. I mean, I think you have to first figure out what matters to you. And I think doing, for us on the work side, at least on the agency side, right? It's working with incredible clients that allow us to be weird and creative and pay really well.
Mm-hmm.
And and they do those things because they respect what we bring to the table, our craft.
Right.
I want that. I want more of that.
Yeah.
Like I want more of that. I want to get rid of some of the other knuckleheads, right? That maybe are not valuing us at the level that we need to be valued at. Because I think we have to do that work. But then then you set all of that aside. So that's within the context of work. Like, let's move towards the things that give us joy, that pay us well, that allow us to feed our families. Let's do as much of that as possible. But then also that stuff needs to be set aside, and we have to be able to reinvest time in the other things that create a life that's worth living.
Yeah,
right?
For sure.
Relationships, exercise, exploring, adventure, whatever your thing is, reading books. I mean, and I think that's it. I think I have learned that I need to be more intentional about writing down and documenting what matters to me.
That's cool.
And then I need to move in the direction of those things.
That's very cool.
And then on the back on the draconian side, I think that I'm going to have to be some sort of asshole broker of time for my own life. Well, I have to be much more selective about who and what I say yes to.
That's probably a good position to start the year in.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So figuring out how to do that's going to be, that's part of what I'm going to be working on over the break.
Well, that's the big mystery, right? So you're like, well, if I take this opportunity, I won't be free to take the next one that might be better. So I have to weigh this one. It's this whole process that I think you have to get wiser about how you make those choices, which is what you're saying. But
I think,
know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think it all comes down to what lights you up, what makes you feel valued, and like you have meaning and purpose. Yeah. And that's a what, and that's who, right? I mean, if you have toxic people in your circle, you should probably do something about that. Yeah. Right. Because that is
100%.
That is not only is that time that you're spending on things that don't light you up, but you are actively sabotaging your well-being, your professional happiness by either, hanging out with or working with people that don't fill your cup.
Yeah. Your standard is what you tolerate.
Yeah. Yeah. So I've learned a lot about time and relationships and what matters, and that I owe it to myself, to myself, to get much smarter about where I put my time and energy. Cool. We've been talking about this book. And so on the business side, we've been talking about this book in Forums, which is this peer group that we run here at SoCo, called Buy Back Your Time. And hat tip to Dave Maxfield, who came on the podcast
we had him on earlier,
3 or 4 months ago. He's like our resident bookworm, right? He just lights up when he gets to talk about new books that he's read. And the whole idea behind the book is you should know how much it costs your company for you to do your work. And there's a price on that. So, and there's ways to calculate that. We won't get into all that mess today, but whatever that is, let's say you cost your company $100 an hour. If you were doing work that you could pay someone else $20 an hour to do, and it's a thing that doesn't light you up, and it's a thing that is not sort of moving the needle, the book advocates that you should absolutely, as soon as humanly possible, figure out a way to delegate and assign that work to someone else, right? Because if you can do work that is more impactful, right, that will generate an outsized return for your company. Sure. Versus, I mean, if it costs the company $100 an hour for you to be there, and you're doing work that has $20 worth of value, I mean, just do the math. Yeah, you're going to go out of business. So I think that's the other thing I've learned this year is I am going to figure out my highest and best purpose for this into those directions to go find more of that work to contribute.
Pretty smart.
You know what I mean? I mean, it's there's stuff that I'm okay at, and then there's stuff that I'm good at, really good at.
You should do that stuff.
And if that stuff aligns with things that people are willing to pay good money for, That's how we win. At least I think that's how I win. So anyway,
I got your cough. Damn.
we're in the COVID box. COVID box.
Hot boxing.
All right, your turn again. So some other stuff you've learned this year.
Oh, it's just constantly my turn.
No, you say something and then I take over the conversation.
It's all good. I got 4 or 5 of them. All right. So another thing, this is a win, I think. I've always been able to apply consistency to like my fitness and martial arts training and stuff like that. So I really was conscious coming into this year trying to bring that consistency to my professional craft during the day, which is, front end develop, like website stuff, whatever. But like I've tried to bring that consistency to that, and it's really paid huge dividends on what we've been talking about so far is time.
Yeah.
I've freed up a lot of my own time because I'm just really consistent with the way I do things and the way I approach the things. We discuss the quality, whatever, later, but like, I feel like I'm producing a lot more this year than I have in the past, and my capabilities have grown, and that's 100% because I've just consistently tried to work, like thoughtfully, like the same time, same amount of time, no distractions, just like doing it. And I've always kind of struggled with that technical side of doing the job. I kind of get distracted, like ADHD brain when I start building things. Like I'll start and then go do this thing, and then there's this thing over here, and I should probably learn how to do this thing, and I'll go, and it's like this. Everything becomes just like 5 different things going on at one time, and I've tried to be really consistent about starting, getting it done, focusing, doing one thing at a time, and just knocking it out. Boom, 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 and that has paid huge dividends.
Is that like you have figured out the recipe for staying in flow more?
Maybe
we had talked about that previously, and how hard it was.
I think so because like, I use like, when you train martial arts, whatever, you warm up and get into it, but you kind of have to be like one mind. You need to be very present. You know what I mean? Like you're training jujitsu or you're sparring someone. Like you can't be doing jujitsu and thinking about what's for dinner. Like it's just not going to work. There's only one thing at a time, and when you're able to do that, you make progress really fast.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, why am I like? That applies to everything. You know, it's not just that. You can take that same approach to everything, and it works. It was cool.
Yeah. I mean, I would say yes. I mean,
that's just a win.
Yeah. Also, like, and the lesson is like, if it is creating results, progress for you, then lean into it, right?
Yeah.
I do more. Defend it, protect it, and embrace it.
I mean, I don't go home thinking about solving problems for tomorrow, like I solve them. Like this is the other thing is like, one little tip, I guess, for kind of getting there is like, I'll come in the morning and I have like one thing, like I'm going to get this one thing done.
Yeah.
No matter what, one thing's going to get done. I mean, it doesn't mean I only do one thing every day, but like, I'm not leaving, I'm not shutting this computer down or moving on to the next thing until this one thing is done. That's, not a tiny thing. It's like a thing that has to happen to move the whole, whatever project I'm working on. It's got to move the project ahead, that one thing. And just being focused and getting that one thing done, you move a lot faster than worrying about all the other things. So before I would approach it like that, I would leave, I'd be like, well, shit, I've been here like 6 hours or whatever, it's probably time to,
get
on to the next thing and, I'd go and then I'm like thinking about it all night and I'm thinking, well, maybe I approach it. I don't do that. Like I get it done and it's done.
It is an incredible feeling to complete something.
It feels great, but you start stacking those every day, 30 days later, you've gotten like these 30 wins in a row and it feels really good.
It's sort of like the 1% everyday concept, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But just that, and we talk about progress, we talk about growth, we talk about scale, and like, and the overnight success kind of stuff. I think it's all mostly bullshit. And I think all these things happen when
luck,
because you stay consistent. Mm-hmm. You're consistently working towards a vision for something better.
Yeah.
And you are, carving that piece of wood a little bit at a time, committed to it every day until at the end of that process, however long it takes, you created something pretty awesome. I think that's how growth pretty much in all the categories happens.
I think so. It just seems really obvious once you've done it.
Yeah, but the world doesn't work that way.
No, it doesn't.
I mean, there's the 30-day weight loss guarantee and the fast meals and the blah, 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 blah. I mean, it's...
But I've gotten, in the past probably 3 or 4 months, I've gotten very, like you're talking about being draconian with, where you decide to do what and stuff. But I've gotten that way with my focus. Like, I'm not doing that right now, We're just turning something off, like whatever, your text or Slack, just don't look at it. I mean, the difference when your wife is texting you versus somebody else.
Right.
I mean, you can look at it and be like, I don't care. I don't have to respond to that.
Yeah.
I'm going to finish this thing, and just doing that. I know it takes a little discipline, but like, it's super, you have to get that way. You have to have some focus.
Yeah. Agreed. So I have one, it wasn't originally on my list. And then I thought about some of the work that we've done this year. And in particular, we had one client that, where we, several of our lessons learned are converging around this project. It was a large project, one of the larger projects we've done at Period 3 in a while. And it was great, collaborative, lots of partners. I mean, it was a creative sort of jamboree, if you will. And it was cool to work with all these people with all these backgrounds and disciplines and skill sets. I wanted to bring up a lesson that I think made my list because of a decision that you made.
Ruh-roh.
No, it's good. It's good. And I think it's the way I live my life too, but like it really came into focus. And the lesson is do the right thing. Even when it fucking sucks.
That's my next one.
And so
let me just meld it together. Okay. So I got to thinking about that. I don't want to dig into that live on a podcast for the world to point out how much we suck later, but we can talk ambiguously. But I do have a very good example of that. These two things kind of happened at the same time for me. You're talking about the project where we had to make some integrity-based decisions, and I feel like we've made the right one. So I've been teaching I've been teaching karate for almost like a little over 5 years now. And I've never had to fail anyone on a rank test. Like, I've always been very good about like making sure they're ready. You know what I mean? Like if we have a rank test and I'm like willy-nilly like, yeah, come on, test. We'll see if you're good. That's kind of on me if they fail because I didn't make sure that they knew the things they were supposed to know. You know what I mean? So I take responsibility for that. But this person they were ready. I'd seen them. They were good to go. Like in class, they were killing it. Invited them to a rank test. And they imploded. Like just completely nervous. I don't know what it was. They couldn't remember like basic things. It was like, what is happening right now? And I know that they know this stuff, but the point of the test is on the day you have to show up and do it. Like that's the whole point.
Yeah.
You got to do it. And I had to fail him. And it broke my heart because I really love this guy. This guy, he's the type of person that like when he enters the room, like the room is happier. You know what I mean? Like it's just the best person. I love this. I love him so much. And I just had to hug him. I'm like, man, I love you. What would you like to do? Would you like to just watch the rest of this test, or do you want to, stick it out and finish? What would you like to do? And he was like, well, I'm gonna stick it out and finish. I'm gonna ride it out with my comrades here.
Yeah.
And he wrote it out, and it was cool. I mean, he still failed, but he failed it. But at the end, me and the other members of the board, I was like, we need to let's what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? And they're like, I don't know, but maybe we give it to him and he can earn, he can just learn later. We know he can do it. I was like, you know what? Everyone else that's come before him has done these things. And he entered the same thing that a dozen people before him have done. And he couldn't get it done on the day he needed to do it.
Well, yeah.
So I was really having my integrity tested, because as much as that's the first one, as much as I want something to happen, if I just let it happen, that's going to down the line. That
doesn't serve him.
Worse.
Yeah. That doesn't serve him.
Well, what about the next person?
Yeah.
What about the person after that? Next thing you know, I'm just promoting people and they don't deserve shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Now I have this
That's how you get the McDojo or whatever people talk about. But
McDojo.
that was a real test of my integrity. So one of my things is lesson learned, stick to your integrity, because I think no matter what happens, if you do the right thing, if you stick to your integrity, if you stick to it, good shit's going to happen in the end.
Yeah. So
in the very least, you'll go to your grave not feeling like an asshole. You know what I mean?
Right. And that should probably be the reason why you do it.
Yeah, I think so.
So that you have pride in your own decision making.
Yeah.
Forget the external stuff. Like, yeah, it's going to be better for him in the long run that he failed. So he has to work harder and get there. I'll hat tip to you again, man. So we had a major client project, collaborative, lots of partners, lots of folks that we'd worked with before, but that weren't like on our team. And it was big. It was one of the biggest projects we've done, and we crushed it. Well, we thought we crushed it. Product's working really well. Client is thrilled, and then we get into it, and it's just some technical elements that start causing some problems for us. And it ends up that that they're bugging us enough that we feel like we need to do something about it.
Yeah.
And the client was like, listen, this is a ton of work, blah, blah, blah. Y'all did a great job. We got the issues. We can work through them. And we were like, these shouldn't be happening. And you made the decision to rebuild the whole thing. You made that decision. Obviously, the team got behind it. I mean, to rebuild the whole thing, costing us
probably cost
thousands of dollars,
15 grand. Yeah.
Thousands of dollars.
Yeah.
And we didn't charge the client a single thing. And it was a painful decision to make, but it just goes back to that same thing. That is what they deserved. And it was both what they deserved, because they treat us with respect and dignity, and also what we need to expect of ourselves. And I thought that was I was really proud of you for making that decision.
Thank you.
And I'm very proud of us, even though it cost some financial pain to do that.
I think in the long run, it's better off, man.
And then lesson learned, folks out there in communal land, they threw more work at us.
Yeah.
Instead of being like, whatever, blah, blah, blah. They were like, we recognize what this means.
Yeah, it was cool.
And we've got another project for you next year.
Yeah, it was very cool.
That was not on the radar.
Yeah.
And you should never do it because of that reason, but you should have faith that on the other side of that tough decision that you need to make, that needs to be based on integrity.
Yeah, that's not why I made that decision.
Not at all. We weren't expecting anything.
No.
I
got tired of their emails. It's like I can't fix the same shit.
Fuck
over and
integrity.
Over. Yeah.
Stop emailing me.
Leave me alone.
No,
they'll still email. They'll still have problems, but they'll be like actual problems. You know what I mean? Like actual things that we need to solve, and not shit that just shouldn't be the way it is.
Yeah. So I have another lesson learned. This one's all mine, but I bet you'll appreciate it. So I learned this year that we and I, in my work and in my personal life, need to be measuring a different set of things that define my success. And we need to be obsessive about tracking and leveraging and using those metrics. This came into some client work. This came into our business this year at SoCo. And this has come into my personal life. And, there's lots of stories to unpack there, but the gist of it is, I think if we're not looking at the things that move the needle for you, that are important, whether it's health, financial wellness, profitability and cash flow in the business, if you're not working to track those and improve those, you're a fucking idiot. You're a fucking idiot. It has happened in my personal life now. So yeah, I'm pretty excited. I'm getting a Whoop strap for Christmas, and I'm going to start tracking some of my personal health stuff. Yeah, because I think
Whoop is a great product.
So the lesson is
totally sponsor this show.
Yeah. Whoop, come on in. So we didn't do a good job of tracking these things this year, and it caused us pain and suffering and problems. Right? If you're not measuring the things that matter,
Yeah.
then you're never going to hit those goals. And you set goals that are arbitrary for a lot of entrepreneurs or business owners, and then you never look at it again.
Mhm.
And so the thing I've learned about that I'm going to take forward into next year is we're going to start getting much more focused on measuring the things that matter in our business and in our lives. And we are going to actively work with and for those metrics, not like as a end all be all, but get real serious about them, get curious about them.
That's cool.
Right? Why are they the way they are? What can we do to move them in the direction we want to move them? You always hear this phrase, cash is king. Our good friend John Barnes talks about that a lot in terms of creating a business that has incredible value and can help people and, feed people and feed you and your family. But a lot of folks just don't keep their eyes on that. They look at the bank account or whatever else. I mean, we just have to get more sophisticated. We have to track the things that matter, and we have to look at them on a regular basis and course correct when we are not heading in the direction we need to head. So that's the thing I learned this year. And with all good lessons learned, I learned it because we got our asses kicked in a couple of categories that we weren't paying attention to. And that's stupid, and that's on us. And we had control over that for the most part. And so that's a recommitment I'm making to next year for me and for the things I'm involved in.
That's cool.
Yeah. What else?
Whoop strap.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that. And it's, not a weird thing that I don't need a watch. I hate watches. I like straps. No, it's kind of cool and tactical. It looks like you're,
Whoop is a good product.
Yeah.
Track your sleep and all kinds of stuff.
All kinds of
Pretty
stuff.
Smart, yeah.
Yeah, all kinds of stuff.
I wore one for like 2 years. It was super insightful.
And I will say I think the I'm all like business and cash flow and blah blah blah. I think the thing I'm most excited about
none of it works if you're dead.
is tracking. I'm going to be experimenting with diet and exercise this year in ways I haven't before, and I'm really interested to see what happens when I pull some of these levers. And again, it's science, right? If you don't have a hypothesis, you're not testing and measuring against that, then who the fuck cares? I think whatever you're doing is not going to work probably because you don't have a metric for what good or bad looks like.
That's true.
Pretty excited about that. Right. It's gonna be the chemistry. My chemistry professor is going to win in 2025. I'm going to be experimenting like crazy.
Get you one of those blood glucose monitors as well. Those. I've wanted one of those for a while, just to test what I eat versus the insulin.
I think I'm going to get you a Christmas gift.
They're expensive.
Oh, never mind.
It's also a monthly subscription. It's like $500 a month.
Damn.
Yeah, because I don't have diabetes, so it doesn't insurance won't cover it. All right, what else you got?
It's your turn.
Oh,
what else did you learn this year?
So another one I wrote down. Something I've done over the course of the year. One of my probably biggest fault is that I hold grudges. I'm just terrible. I will hold a grudge forever. So I don't like that about me. I don't like it. I don't think it's healthy. I don't think it's good. But it's true. So the past year or so, I've reconnected with people that I had previously sort of written off, and reconnected in a way, not the same way we were, close before, but just airing things out, just being I didn't like this. What the hell, and just getting over it. And it's been really, really healthy, I think, to do that.
Is this like a forgive, not forget kind of deal?
No, I still hold a grudge, but just getting over it, to the point where they're, let's say you're friends with someone and they kind of piss you off, they do you wrong or whatever, but there's still positive things about that relationship that you enjoyed. You know what I mean? You can still enjoy those things. Just, understand that
the context,
they're whatever. I mean, I'm being very sinister about it, but they're still capable of that stuff.
Yeah.
So you just have to, okay, well, I mean, that's not going to happen again, but I mean, we can still do those things that we enjoyed doing, whatever that is, or, discussing the things we like to discuss or whatever, that still exists, so we can do that.
Yeah.
Just, don't forget, but, it's okay. You don't have to write people off, I'm just real bad about that. I'll just write you off.
My wife is too.
I mean, I've always been that way, but I'm really bad about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll just be bye.
I think this idea that, like, I mean, every single one of us is flawed, right?
Yeah,
Every
that's-
relationship I have,
Yeah.
There are no perfect humans.
I am
It
definitely
just
not.
doesn't exist. No.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it feels like a lot of growth.
You hold grudges?
I think I am fairly future oriented.
Mm-hmm.
And so I am almost always looking forward.
Yeah.
I'm like the definition of this the guy that lives in the gap. We talked about
Oh,
this in the
I think
previous
forward
podcast.
too. I just think of a future without you in it. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
I try not to. I think
it's not good. It's not good at all.
Yeah, I think life is too short for that, and
That's my point
I
exactly.
think maybe I'm probably too busy to hold grudges. Like I feel like that's negative space that I just don't have the capacity to hold on to.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do I have like relationship issues with people in
Oh,
my life still? Sure.
Of course we do. Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
So yeah, I like that one. That's cool. What else? What else have we learned this year, Gene?
I haven't learned anything else.
We shared another one in our peer group, and everybody, it really resonated with everyone. I shared it on LinkedIn. But this idea of, especially if you're in self-employed, a freelancer or business owner.
Yeah.
I think the water is never not choppy.
Right.
And we were talking about this idea of like you have this idea in your head, which is like the water. You're swimming in the ocean. The water's really rough, but if you can just keep swimming in the rough water, you'll make it to the island, and the island is calm.
No, the island's full of bears.
And then you get to the island,
yeah,
and there's no food.
Yeah,
there's no fresh water.
Yeah,
and it's filled with like scorpions.
Yep.
And then you're like, oh God, if I can just get off the island, if I can just get to that next thing, if I can. And the reality is, it's all hard work.
Yeah.
And everything we're doing is hard work. And so the sooner we can get used to the idea that the water's just choppy, the stronger we will get. Right? You'll get stronger swimming in choppy water. And then, and only then, will the water not be so hard.
Yeah.
Because you are now stronger, because you have now accepted that this is the way it is. I mean, so many folks, God, I can't even tell you how many folks have begun their entrepreneurial journey in the last couple of years that, we hang out or they come to me and they're like, hey, I want to have some ideas. I want to bounce off, and I could see what they're focused on, and it's all the wrong stuff. And then they just weren't ready for it.
Yeah.
They weren't ready for the emotional and mental burden of having to rely on themselves. And a lot of them failed. A lot of them threw in the towel and went and got jobs.
Well, it's not for everyone.
It isn't.
I mean,
it isn't.
It's not for everybody.
It isn't. But also it's this idea that it's just going to happen, right? I can manifest it. It is like, I mean, how long have we been doing this?
It ain't going to happen.
15 years of being self-employed, 22 for you, right?
22.
I mean, good Lord. We still don't have it figured out.
I still don't know what I'm doing.
But I tell you what, we can swim in some choppy ass water.
Yep.
And I mean, it's just like floating in a kiddie pool.
They say calm seas don't make skilled sailors.
Yeah.
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 I love
So
that saying.
I think for me, I want to embrace this idea that like things are just hard, and that is how we grow.
Mm-hmm.
So, so what do you think, man? Good year?
Yeah. I had a really good year. It was really fast.
It is.
I don't like it.
It is moving.
That's something that I am very consciously going into the new year with, is to try to soak out of every day as much as I can.
Yeah.
Because I do a lot of different things throughout the day, and just trying to get as much out of it as I can.
Find the joy.
Yeah. And that's
joy.
it. Just being, I know it sounds so like new agey and bullshit, but just being present with people. Like when I'm in a class with someone, like be there and don't be thinking about the next class. Don't be thinking about, the website I have to build the next day. Like just try to be there and get all that out of it. Because when I think back about all the stuff we did, or me and my family, whatever, personally over 2024, it was a lot of shit.
Yeah.
Like we did a lot of stuff, and it seems like so long ago. Like just thinking about conversations like in the first quarter or whatever of this year, it seems like, God, was that like 10 years ago? I don't even know when that was. And that I think that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Because if something you did in like last January feels like it was like last week, maybe
Yeah.
maybe you need to stretch a little bit more.
Yeah.
I think
I love
think
that.
it's a good thing.
I love that. I think that's a fantastic way to end. And Gene, I just want to say, it's been a fucking blast working with you this year, brother.
It's been a good year.
Seriously.
Yeah, for real.
And thanks for letting me be a part of your journey and vice versa, hopefully.
Yeah,
and
man, for sure.
Everybody out there, I hope you have an incredible start to your new year.
Yeah.
Take some time for yourselves. Be present with the peeps that you care about.
For sure.
And, think about how you can do some kick-ass work in 2025.
Get after it.
Peace.